Welcome to Inside Politics. I'm John Berman, in for John King. Thanks for sharing your Sunday morning with us. Exactly 2 months from today, President-elect Donald Trump will become President Donald Trump. Much to do before then, much to talk about, though one person who was uncharacteristically not talking, at least publicly, about things other than Broadway musicals, Donald Trump. He's been fairly camera shy as he puts together his administration, but there was this photo op, a once near impossible to conceive photo op with Mitt Romney, the 2012 Republican nominee and the former harsh personal critic of Donald Trump. The two met for about 90 minutes at Trump's Bedminster, New Jersey resort.
We had a far-reaching conversation with regards to the various theaters in the world where there are interests of the United States of real significance. Very thorough and in-depth discussion in the time we had, and appreciate the chance to speak with the President-elect and look forward to the coming administration.
Close scrutiny this morning on the president-elect's meetings and also his actual cabinet and staff picks. There's no question they've made some waves.
He appointed a man seen as a champion of white supremacy as a #1 strategist in the White House. #1. Instead of hiding behind your Twitter account, and show America that racism, bullying, and bigotry have no place in the White House or in America.
On the other side of the aisle, kinder words for a different Trump pick.
I'm particularly pleased to offer words of congratulations to my colleague and good friend Jeff Sessions, who is going to make an extraordinary Attorney General of the United States. He is a committed and deeply principled conservative.
Here to share their insights and reporting from Real Clear Politics, Caitlin Huey-Burns, Errol Lewis of Spectrum News, The Washington Post's Philip Bump, and Maggie Haberman of The New York Times. Guys, let's review the president-elect's picks so far. Reince Priebus tapped as chief of staff. Steve Bannon, chief strategist and senior counsel. Retired General Michael Flynn for national security advisor. Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions for attorney general. And Republican Congressman Mike Pompeo to be CIA director. That's who is in, or at least tapped. So let's talk now about who is floating. And no one's sort of floating more surprisingly than Mitt Romney. So, Maggie Haberman, is this real or is this performance art?
Depends on who you talk to. There is a divide within Trumpland, certainly among aides. It is not clear whether Romney actually wants it. Knowing Romney and knowing the way he feels about service, I believe if he were offered it, he would think about it pretty hard, and there is a real chance he would say yes. But mostly what I think it reflects is that Giuliani has fallen out of favor to a large degree. It doesn't mean he won't get it. Trump is incredibly mercurial in terms of Secretary of State. That's the one job that Giuliani really wants. But Trump became very aggravated by several accounts from people I've spoken to about all of the headlines that Giuliani was getting, both in terms of the negative ones about his business and his dealings with foreign governments, but also the ones just about Giuliani, you know, as the lone real choice. And I know Giuliani was privately telling people it was basically his. Trump doesn't like that kind of thing.
Interesting. So Mitt Romney says as much about Rudy Giuliani as he might about Mitt Romney.
What it all says a lot about is that for Trump, we've all heard it for 2 years about how loyalty is everything to Trump. Loyalty is everything until it isn't for Trump. And so, Giuliani was really the last man standing with Trump in a lot of ways in those final weeks. And yet he is still going through this meat grinder.
And just to review why it's so surprising to so many that Mitt Romney sat down for so long with Rudy Giuliani yesterday, let's just reminisce for a moment about the back and forth between the two men over the last 12 months.
Donald Trump is a phony, a fraud.
Mitt was a disaster as a candidate.
He's playing the members of the American public for suckers.
Romney let us all down. He was a very poor campaigner.
He gets a free ride to the White House, and all we get is a lousy hat.
Romney choked like a dog. He choked. He went.
His promises are as worthless as a degree from Trump University.
He was begging for my endorsement. I could have said, Mitt, drop to your knees. He would have dropped to his knees.
Again, even after covering many elections, I find that to be more direct and personal than most back and forth, Phil, that we've heard between people in campaigns before. But the other side of that is this is Donald Trump reaching out to former political enemies, bringing him in, at least into the room, to have a discussion. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I will say that if Mitt Romney's trying to make the case for how he can negotiate with difficult enemies what we saw yesterday is a good step toward that, right? I mean, this is a position that Mitt Romney probably never expected himself to be in, having to deal with President-elect Trump, particularly in the sort of a supplicating role that he's playing there. But yes, I mean, I think that there are a lot of question marks that hang over this entire process. I think Donald Trump very much enjoys having there be a lot of question marks over the entire process. But that said, Donald Trump needs to have the Republican establishment working with him. His attitude so far with his former enemies has been to let them come to him. He's doing some of that, but I think this interaction with him and Romney is a big step forward toward establishing a sort of normal relationship between a president and his party.
At least have a seat at the table in Bedminster or Trump Tower, as the case may be.